Welcome back to CJ2a Jeep and Classic Car Channel. So we're working on the left side, driver's side of the engine, hooking up all the stuff that we've taken off, like the carburetor, the fuel lines are already on, but we have an exhaust, an oil line, some other stuff like that. So that's what we're going to be working on. Join me in the adventure as we work to hook up the left side of the engine. Alright, so we went to hook this one up and the cable nut is missing. I know I put it on there at some point. It is not on there anymore. Looks like it has fallen off somewhere in the process of putting the engine in and all that. So I guess I'm going to have to order another one or source it locally, but I'm not going to waste any more daylight trying to look for it today. So it's always frustrating when you lose screws and nuts and all that kind of stuff, and you have to like go back and like order them and buy them when you know when you put them on. And that one dropped all the way to the bottom. But anyway, this is the choke cable, I believe. Nope, this is the throttle cable, and it's the one missing the screw. Well, you know, that's a different size, so we're going to have to drill that out, I suppose, because it does not fit that. Lovely. Alright, so I measured it to 160, so we're going to put 3/16 hole in here. Alright, so we're going to just kind of loosely mount it. Kind of hold it in place, so we can't really set it up too much, so we're just going to kind of hand tighten that, and then when we get the pieces all together, we'll get it working. Now this one we're going to need to get a wrench on. Alright, so we're going to back this off a little bit. Try to get this to feed in. Of course, it's all springy and all. There we go. So you just kind of got to finagle with it to feed it in. It doesn't really want to feed in easily, so my other option is to take a screwdriver and kind of spread that out a little bit. It's close, but we gotta get it to feed in a little bit more. I'm just going to back this thing all the way out. We were able to get that opened up a little bit, which allowed us to feed that in enough. So now it's in. We're going to put that bolt back in, but not tighten it down. There we go. We'll probably get a socket on that for the rest of it. So the tricky part is to get this wire in the little hole here. So you can see it's kind of close, but you just got to get it lined up right to go in its home. Alright, we're just working on tightening this. Whoa, tighten this down a little bit. So at this point, just trying to find a good place, which I think should be all the way open.
which is where it is right now. So we're going to tighten that down and then put this right back on. So before I put this back on, I'm going to go ahead and tighten this spark plug in and this one in while we have access, and we're going to go ahead and torque these down, and then we'll torque down the other two. So I have the torque wrench set about 30 foot-pounds. Range is 25 to 33. Number 3 is very difficult to get to. There's that one. We're going to go ahead and hit this one, number 4. There we go. They're all tightened up. Now we're going to put this back in and go from there. Alright, so the air horn just kind of goes between the rubber piece and the outside of the carburetor. We got that. And now we're going to tighten it down just so it doesn't slip out. Alright, so that's done. Now we're going to put our spark plug wires back in. This one's number 4. I labeled it as such. Need a little slack to get the actual piece down on there. So what I was doing there was just feeding the extra wire through there so that would connect. And this one already has it down, which makes it easier. And then I just slide that boot on down over it to hold it in place. Or at least that's the plan. Go. Okay, next up we're going to try to get this pin out, which is the pin for the throttle gas pedal. It's got a nice little bend in it there. Not sure what happened there. Straighten that out, and this kind of just sits right in there. Just kind of gotta line the two up. You actually kind of go through. Sorry if you can't see it. There we go. So now that's connected. We're going to try to put this pin in top down, so we don't have gravity working against us. But I cannot see where the hole is. There it is. It's just getting to that point of the day where it's just kind of the evening. So sometimes your lighting is a little bit difficult. There we go. It works. Okay, we found the right hose. This is this one. And we're going to do this back connection first, just because it's harder to get to. It's the 7/16. And it is free spin on both sides. So that makes it easier to install. Now this side. just going to put it over to the side like that. Keep it out of the way of the brake pedal a little bit. It's kind of putting it in this gap between the gas pedal and the brake pedal, so it's not hitting on any of it. There we go. It's good and tight. Next up is the exhaust. Alright, so here's the gasket. I'm going to put that on here. It's a Victor 5301cc. It just fits over like that. And then kind of got to get it up in there. All to line up. It's not quite. There we go. Like that. First piece kind of goes like through here. There we go. And there is. But not to get that nut fully on, so we're going to forego that. That lock washer on the bottom. Alright, and then this one's actually threaded. I'm actually going to drop this out. We got a problem. So we're going to try to get this thing threaded up without all that in between first. Alright, I think we got it now. Just a little different. The sizes I took out aren't necessarily the sizes that this engine is, so I don't know if my impact's gonna fit in there. It is not going. Well, I might. Just barely it fits. And on this side, these are fine thread. This will probably mess us up in the future, but it is what it is. It's what the book says to use. Alright, so we're just going to tighten this down. Both 9/16 size here. It's good. Yeah, that's good and tight. I think we are done on this side for now. We have our fuel lines in. Everything's hooked up on the carburetor except for where I'm missing the cable nut, and everything else is the oil line's on. So I think we're good. I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all take care. It's time for supper.